the butler and hardy wheel analysis on myself for bodybuilding. Okay, so like I said in the description above, I've basically listed the body parts and rated them on what I believe to be an accurate reflection. So firstly, if I start with arms at the top, I've rated myself as 7. So this is basically because my biceps have I think it's a fairly strong point for me. My biceps have a good peak, with like a decent definition in the triceps also. Bearing in mind with all of these body parts, this is 8 weeks out from a show, so there's still a lot of more definition to come in. So I'm not going to judge myself too harshly on body fat percentages and definition. However, size and shape is going to come into it quite a lot. Secondly, I've got quads. Now, quads is definitely a strong point for me. I've got good separation in all the vastus parts, all the front bits, good vascularity, and yeah, I mean, I'm fairly confident with that. The size-wise, they are very, like, they're probably, if anything, they're almost too big compared to my arms. But at the same time, that is where you're going to win competitions. Yeah, because legs is one of the harder body parts to train. If you can outdo a lot of people who skip legs, that is always a bonus. Hamstrings, I've given myself 8 out of 10. 1 under quads. This is again, I've got good light size of my hamstrings. Also, I train legs twice a week, so I separate quads and hamstrings into 2 separate sessions, so I can really target the area, like the specific area. Because if you train hamstrings after legs, you're more than likely going to. You're always going to be tired after quads. I mean, I wouldn't train hamstrings before quads because it almost be like needs the stability in like a squat position, for example, or a leg press. So even though it's mostly a quad exercise, you will be using hamstrings in some element. Shoulders. So shoulders, I've given myself a 7. My medial delt is not as big as I'd like it. However, you can see the individual heads, like the posterior, anterior, and the medial. I mean, for the width, the medial delt is a key, so that is something I'm going to be improving. Maybe starting the session with some lateral raises, lateral cable raises, maybe even an Arnold press to emphasise the stretch when they come round. Yeah, so shoulders I'm fairly happy with, but there's always room for improvement. Back. So back is I've listed as one of my weaknesses in the visual analysis. This is because the middle upper back, the bit that, like the rhomboids or like lower trapezius, is going to be. It's a bit underdeveloped compared to the width, if that makes sense. So to improve that, I'm going to be focusing on rows mostly during like the early part of the sesh, just so I'm fresh and can actually hit that part of the muscle effectively without being fatigued by any other parts. Also, there's a little bit of water weight on my back, especially the lower back. Again, I'm not going to be too judgmental on that because there's a long way of dieting and cardio to go. And also, the flushing the water out should help quite a lot of that. Although some of it is fat, but like I said, a long way to go yet. But the shape's there, so that'll also bring my waist in, which will be good, and also emphasise the V taper. So that is an area for improvement, which is I'm going to be hitting twice a week. Calves. I mean, I've been training calves 2 to 3 times a week anyway. They are a very stubborn area for me. So what I intend to do is tip them every other day now. Really focus on building them up, because a lot from my other strong points, my quads and hamstrings, I've been training them twice a week. So for them to be my strongest point, calves may respond well to a higher volume. But again, a lot of it's down to genetics with calves, but it doesn't mean to say we can't improve it. So whether I'm doing, if I've got my ankles, my toes are pointing outwards, they'll hit the outer part of my calves. If the toes are pointing inwards, I'll hit the inside. So if I mix up the angles, mix up the exercises such as standing calf raise, seated calf raise, and possibly even donkey raises, whether I'm doing it on a machine or Smith machine or using dumbbells, I'll be mixing that up especially. Chest. So chest, I've given myself a 6. I believe my chest doesn't look too bad. It's got fairly good separation down the middle. However, the upper part is slightly lacking. So what I'll be doing for that is, again, basically all I'm going to be doing on my weaker parts is focusing on them, giving them more focus than my stronger areas, leading up to the show. This will be just basically similar with all body parts. So beginning of a session on chest, I'll start with incline pressing, incline flies, or maybe even dumbbell raises, like where you bring it up across the front. And lastly, the abdominals. So again, I've given myself a 5. So the reason behind that is, like, you can very faintly see the outline of the abs, and with a lot of dieting to go, plus the water weight that's coming off, they will get a lot better. But to help speed that process along, I'm going to train them every other day as well as calves. So whether that be on my cardio day, I don't do calves, but I do abs. So abs in cardio, and then abs on the end of the other session. So yeah, that is my butler and Hardy wheel in an overview. As you can see, it's quite clearly my weak points and strong points, and I have taken note and will apply them to my own training.